In this episode of the Workplace Incident Investigation Series, I'm going to discuss causes and corrective measures. Now, this is just the basics to give you ideas of what kinds of things to look for direct causes and indirect causes. The more you do investigations, the better you'll get at asking questions and finding out those causes. It's just like anything else. Practice makes perfect, so repeat it all the time. And that's why I really encourage people to, even though there's small or what they think is an insignificant incident, do an investigation on it just to get your mind in the process of doing an investigation. As you're looking for causes, you'll find in many incidents that there'll be multiple causes or a combination of causes within the incident. So we need to find those out so we don't duplicate the incident again. Let's check out some causes. So what is a cause? Cause is an action, activity, situation, or other factor that led to an incident. Now within that definition we can have direct or immediate cause, which are hazards that exist immediately prior to the incident. Then these can be broken down into unsafe conditions and unsafe work practices. Also we can have indirect or underlying causes, which are like personal or job factors which contribute to the immediate cause of the incident. The reasons why immediate causes exist. Having some specific items helps us come up with more detailed corrective measures. Once we've gathered and reviewed all the information, sometimes finding the cause becomes obvious. Remember to keep asking yourself questions, why, because sometimes when we think we got to the root of that cause, we can keep digging a little bit further. So keep asking yourself why. This is why a team is really good. You can bounce ideas off each other. Now, when it comes to incident lists of causation, I've seen multiple different programs and I've done multiple different trainings and with different companies, and their programs, they have their own list of causes. And just know that this one that I'm going to go through right now is not the be all and end all. But it will be a good list for you to start and get your mind rolling in the right direction to developing an investigation program. There are lots of programs out there. We just got to remember, in the end, when there's an incident, what we want to do is figure out what happened so we can correct it and not let it happen again, right? So that's the main goal of an incident, is to figure out what happened, figure out what the cause is, fix it, and then not let it happen again in the workplace. As I go through the list of possible causes, I'm going to give you ideas for possible potential corrective measures. Now, unless we're actually talking about an incident that you can send me, throw it down in the comments, I'll read through it and we can discuss it, but I'm going to break down the causes into 4 categories for this list, okay? People, equipment and materials, environment, and management. When we're deciding on the corrective measures that will be taken, remember our goal is to reduce, or in a perfect scenario, eliminate the likelihood that a similar event will occur. If possible, corrective measures should be implemented immediately, but sometimes more actual time is needed. And if more time is necessary, it's important that we have a plan to how we're going to continue to work with the hazard, if it's there, with the condition or the practice, whether we stop it or figure out how we're going to work with it, and ensure this plan is communicated to everyone, right? So as an investigator, we don't want to just come up with the causes and corrective actions, write them on a piece of paper. We need to communicate that information back to the workers, supervisors, management, everybody within the facility that's going to be working around that task or that job or in that facility. Remember, when we develop corrective measures, they have to be attainable, right? We just can't say something that's not attainable, right? We still have to work in the workplace, we still have to produce, we still have to get the job done there. So we have to figure out something that's going to be attainable and also cost effective, right? If something's going to put you out of business, well, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. each corrective action should have a completion date, and then we should also assign a person of responsibility. Okay, I got my list of potential causes here and my list of corrective actions. We'll talk about a few. So I'm just going to take, here's my list. I'm just going to take a few from each category, and just to give you a couple ideas of what to talk about, okay? So under the people category, we're going to go maybe with lack of job procedures, didn't know the proper procedures. So lack of job procedures, what kind of corrective action? Some of these are pretty obvious. So if we don't have a job procedure, what do? Let's make one. Pretty simple, okay? Where they start getting tougher is didn't know the procedure, okay? So why, let's say we go back to their training records and let's say they've been trained. So why didn't they know the procedure if they've been trained? Or maybe they even haven't been trained on the procedure. Okay, so why are we putting people to work that don't know the procedures? Okay, so these are some other questions as you come up with the causes. Why is that? So that's not going to be the root. That'll start to put you towards the root. Is why does that person not know the procedure? Like this one, knew the procedure but didn't follow them. Okay, why? Okay, is it because they didn't want to follow that procedure? They thought theirs is better. So then, are we listening to our workers if they didn't want to follow that procedure? Ask them why they didn't want to follow it. Don't just give them shit. Maybe they have a better way to do it. Are we listening to our employees? Not mentally or physical. Are they fit for work? Okay, they're not fit to work. Why are they fit for work? Why did they come to the workplace not fit for work and not tell the supervisor and let us put them there? Okay, why are they not telling us? Is there something that we're doing that they're not able to communicate with us if they're not fit for work? And if they aren't fit for work, why are they not fit for work? Was it something that happened at workplace or was it after? So let's check out the corrective action on that one. So review any job requirements. Okay, improve the employee selection. Yeah, did we hire the right person for the job here? Okay, now that we've hired them, if they're in some sort of union or something, then they're there forever, right? So let's make sure we hire people properly. Is a proper screening process. Does that go back? Who does that go back to? Human Resources Department, maybe? Lack of PPE. Well, that one's pretty simple. So PPE stands for personal protective equipment. So if we got lack of PPE, what can we do? Get them the PPE. Didn't know what PPE was required. Why didn't they know what PPE was required? It goes back to training again, right? Okay, so let's make sure they get the proper PPE and make sure it's inspected, it works properly, and it's fitted properly, right? Lots of people can have PPE, but if it's not fitted properly, then sometimes it defeats the purpose in itself. Okay, so let's talk about equipment and materials. So poor quality and condition. Okay, so are we buying shitty tools? Buy good tools. Buy the proper tool for the proper job. And make sure it's a decent quality, right? Make sure it's good quality. We don't want something breaking on our workers. Okay, and what's the condition? Do we make sure that it's inspected beforehand? Do we have a preventative maintenance program in place depending on what the equipment is, right? Equipment and materials, hazardous condition not recognized. Okay, so do we not have the same thing? Inspections, do we have inspections or job assessments? Do we have that in place at our workplace? Oh, I like this one. Inspection didn't detect the hazard. Okay. So what we can do is review our inspection procedures and change them if necessary. Why are we not recognizing? Do we have a proper program in place for training for hazard identification? Okay, this stuff should be continuous. How about correct equipment or tool not available? Okay, so we don't have the proper tools for the job. Why is that? Go buy them. Okay, and then ask yourself, why don't we have the proper tools for the job? Okay, so another one is environment. So location of the equipment, right? Are we inside, outside, that sort of stuff? Where in your facility, hazardous areas. Some workers are meant to work over here, some workers are meant to work over there. Should these ones be going over there? That's a hazardous area for them if they're unfamiliar with their surroundings, right? So insufficient workspace. The other thing in environment we can look at is lighting, noise, air contamination, temperature extremes, ventilation, vibration, okay, floor, work surfaces. Somebody's working on a concrete tile floor. Do we need to get them anti-fatigue mats? Do we need to make sure our lighting is good within the facility? Do we need to make sure we inspect the air contaminants, right? Get monitors for noise within the facility, right? And so we can supply ear protection or try and figure out how we can eliminate that problem. Temperature extremes, well, temperature extremes, well, that can be a good one because people can fight about the thermostat within the work facility. So make sure you come to a happy medium. You're not going to please everybody. Okay, just make sure nobody gets ill. So in the fourth category, management, we're going to talk about supervisor failed to detect, anticipate, report a hazardous condition. So why do we have training for our supervisors? Sure, it says provide training for supervisors in recognizing and reporting hazards, but do they have time for that? Are they overloaded with other stuff? Can we hire somebody to help them? Right? This is where management and safety officers, and where we have lots of employees, it's good that we have separate people that can do that. We do have to remember though that the supervisor is a lot responsible for the workers, so they have to do this. But can we help them out? Can we take away some of their other workload and give that to somebody else, maybe a lead, right? Management failed to inform the employees of existing and potential hazards. This happens a lot. This is kind of one of those lack of communication, right? When we recognize something, change procedures, change policies, do inspections, do corrective actions, are we relaying that information back to everybody, not just the workers, but everybody within a facility, right? So they can understand it. Because when we come up with an inspection, and sure it might be in another part of the facility, but we can all learn from that, right? It gets our mind working in that safety first process. Okay, lack of supervision training, we'll get them more training. Okay, that can be a tough one. That's why I like these videos that I'm doing, because so I've had people ask me, hey Sean, you got knowledge, can you help us out? And so I said, yeah, I'll help them. I'll make some videos from on the internet. Okay, it'll give you some guidelines and just some basics to follow. So sometimes as an employer, we just don't have the resources to be sending our supervision away for a full day course or a 2-day or a week-long supervision course. Okay, so what can we do within our facility? We can bring people in. One thing they can do is follow my videos. Hey, if they're anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes long, if that's all they do within their morning coffee break or part of their own morning training, it's just tips and tricks to help them out, maybe make them more efficient on some training that they already have. Management failed to take the corrective action. Well, some of these are fairly simple, but we always have to keep asking us why. So like, if management failed to take the corrective action, okay, and so I'm going to read the corrective measure that they have within this training course. That's why I like if you can get multiple trainings, that's good, because each one has their benefits and 6 in one, half dozen the other, right? So corrective action, review procedures, corrective hazards and conditions, and make changes as necessary. So yeah, we need to correct stuff. If we cannot correct it, we need to come up with a plan and then communicate that plan. Are we going to eliminate this task or this whatever we're going to do, or are we going to change it to bring the frequency down and the risk level down? Okay, the severity, right? So it's, in the end, we'd like to eliminate. That's our number one goal, is to eliminate stuff. But then we can go through and try and figure out how we can mitigate it and still work through the process. So now that we've gathered the information, sorted through it, analyzed it, and brought it all together to create some corrective actions. Is the investigation complete? No. Okay, now we need to put it into formal documentation. In the next video of the series, we'll discuss some of the items for developing an incident report. Now that we have all this, we need to communicate that to our workers. So whether it's the actual incident, follow up with any injuries or any corrective actions that we might have taken, and we need to communicate that to everybody if there's changes that are going to happen in the workplace. That's part of that training process, and I see a lot of times that's what happens is people change procedures, they come up with corrective actions, they change stuff, and they fail to communicate it to everyone else in the workplace, and then the next thing you know, somebody gets hurt because they didn't get that communication. Okay. If you found this helpful, share it with your coworkers, friends, and families. And in the meantime, have a safe day.